So again, you guys all know me by now, right? So I just want to share a little bit about, like, if you got a sense, I hope this week, that I am incredibly passionate about the FileMaker community. The piece of that I am most passionate about is user and developer groups. Just my history, when I worked at Harvard, going back into the late 90s and early 2000s, I was the founding chair of the Harvard user group and a founding member of BAFTA, the Boston Area FileMaker Developers Association. And it's been part of my passion since I've been at FileMaker to really support the user groups that already exist and help people launch new ones. When I was in sales, we did a lot of work to help interested developers around the country get user groups started. One of my favorite things I did as a systems engineer was get out and talk to user groups, especially around launches, even though those 2 to 3 week launch tours could be a little bit grueling. And I apologize now to anybody who saw me at the end of one of those. I'm thinking to Indiana a few years ago, thinking the Wedge. There was one year where I was not very sharp, but my excuse for that one, I think that was FileMaker 13. My excuse for that one was that happened the week I had relocated to California. I flew from Boston to California on Friday. Monday morning, I got on a plane to Seattle. And then I did the Seattle user group, the Portland user group, and then the one based at the Wedge, Dig FM, in 3 days. And I had a technology meltdown at that last Wedge user group. So that's a little bit about me. And now what we're trying to do to support user groups at FileMaker is first, we're trying to build a directory of groups so that we can help customers find a group near them when they join the community. That's going to be part of our new community onboarding process. So we also have a group available for user group leaders. And I know some of you are members of that group. So if you are interested in becoming a member of that group and would like an invitation to it, please send me email. Or actually, I think what I'm probably going to do, someone in the group right now want to sign up to be an admin of that group because, all right, thank you, Beatrice. And Koji? Okay, so I will give you 2 admin rights before I go on vacation. So message them in the community and they will make sure you get an invitation. Sound good? And the other thing that we've done, we're experimenting with, and Dig FM, Eric from Dig FM is doing a great job with this, is we also are willing, if you want them, to set up a group for your user group in the FileMaker community. So it's a place, again, when we onboard new members, if they tell us what region they're from in their profile, we can say, hey, did you know there's a user group near you? Here's how to find it. So we've done that. Dig FM is doing a great job with that. I know a lot of you use Meetup for meeting organization, but using the community gives you a place to host documents and recordings of your meetings if you meet virtually and things like that. And also gives you a place to have that post-meeting Q&A with the speaker. So that is available. And finally, I'm going to plug the events page again. How many of you leaders are using the events page right now? When you remember? Okay. So if you're not, I recommend it because we do work really hard. We have worked really hard on the events page. We've made improvements. And it's helpful to our customers to, again, be able to find those groups around the world. So any questions first about what FileMaker can do? Yeah. There are some guidelines there, and I'm not the expert on what the guidelines are, but I think we have made an effort to make them be a little more flexible, especially around meetups. All right, so with that, I know Mike and Koji both want to share what they're doing in Columbus and Tokyo, and then if anyone else wants to share, that's it.
Put slides together. Okay, so my name is Mike Burgee. I'm sure a lot of you, I know a lot of you, so I'm sure a lot of you know me. I organize the Central Ohio FileMaker users group, which is COFMUG for short. That's our clever logo there. We have our website at COFMUG.com, and until recently, that was a WordPress site. But since FileMaker gave us the community space, we now redirect our site to that community space directly. Just makes a lot more sense. So, a little bit about us. We were established in 2003. It's our 15th anniversary this year. We're in Columbus, Ohio. Oh, thank you very much. Columbus, Ohio, but we attract people from as far away as an hour and a half from the Cincinnati area. We meet on a monthly basis, the third Thursday of every month, 6 to 8 p.m. in the same location. So I find that that level of consistency is really good for our group in terms of just staying on a schedule, getting content together, and people showing up because they know it's going to happen. Also, I like to brag a lot about the other members of our group. Most importantly, Mr. Dave Ramsey, who, if you've walked by Geist Interactive this week, is the guy with the big beard talking about FM perception. I'm very lucky to have somebody like that in our group because I was beta testing FM perception before it had a name for about a year before it was even on the market. So, you know, getting in touch with the members of your group to see what they're doing, you learn a lot, and it's just really cool. So we meet at a makerspace. It's one of the world's largest makerspaces, the Columbus Idea Foundry. There's a picture of the classroom we meet at every month. The Idea Foundry is in a converted shoe factory that was most recently a Harley-Davidson storage facility. It combines machinery and technology like a makerspace. So all that cool IoT stuff we've been seeing all week has been stuff that I've been seeing around that shop for years. So it's good to see it coming full circle around here. About 2 or 3 years ago, they finished the clean shop, which is the entire upstairs. I believe it's 85,000 square feet of clean space. So there's no dirty, gritty workshops up there. It's all the 3D printing lab, meeting spaces, co-working spaces, think tank labs, private offices, a virtual reality lab, all kinds of awesome stuff up there. And it's entirely community driven. So I'm going to show this kind of promo video that they have in the background while I'm talking about what works for our user group and what doesn't work. So what we found works for our group is a recurring schedule that happens at the same time every month on a consistent basis. So we always know it's going to be the third Thursday of the month from 6 to 8 p.m. at the same location. We find that now sharing and recording our user group meetings on GoToMeeting or Zoom.com allows us both to allow people to access remotely, present remotely to our group, but also share that resource on a permanent basis on our YouTube channel. So you can see recordings from a lot. I think we've been doing it for about a year now, so we have a good dozen videos up there. The community resources that we're using are great. We are using the events listing. We have gotten new members from that as well. We've seen people that we've lost touch with come back as a result of getting those notifications. There's an outside shot of the building that gives you a little bit of the scale there. It's a really big place. Really, what works for us is that the level of planning and using the tools to put our group together and working with the community for that. A little bit about what doesn't work for us. It's hard for us to communicate to all the people. Over the last year, we've transitioned from Google Groups mailing list to strictly the community, so we lost touch with some people as part of that move. I've been trying to reach out on a one-to-one basis to the people that we've haven't seen in a while, saying, hey, what can we do that's interesting? What can we do to bring here? But it's just tough to spend that time on a volunteer basis to to try to pull those people in. So I'm hoping that the events page will continue to drive those members to our group. So I didn't talk as long as this video goes, but if you want to do a YouTube search for Columbus Idea Foundry, you can find all sorts of cool videos about what's going on there. So with that, I'd like to turn it over to Koji, who is going to talk about his user group, which is FM Tokyo.
Hi, I'm Koji Takeuchi from Tokyo, Japan. So I'm sorry, I have no keynotes, so just for speaking. And oh yes, I have keynotes. Great job by Mike. Established in 1998. That means this year is in the 20th anniversary. Thank you so much. So that shows the bi-monthly schedule, but the early few years, we had the monthly meetings, but that was it's kind of too busy for us. They insisted the bi-monthly, and now we have regularly 40, 50 people of each meetings. But the ones we had very hard times. Maybe it was 1999 or 200. 2000, yeah. 200 is it's way before the FileMaker. I thought we did it, they organized in the wrong way. The people decreasing, the number of people, the fewer and fewer, and our fewest record is 2 people. Yeah, just 2 people. Yeah, we don't call it meetings. Yeah, just chatting or something. Yeah. So, but we changed the plan and or strategy or the philosophy. They start to grow it up, and for now. So our philosophy is it's kind of no strategy. That's why we don't do it. The meetings, it's not for the person who is not there. The offline communication is the key, we think. We have many people in our meetings. Of course, a lot of developers, professional developers, but of course, there are a lot of the in-house developer or just a beginner. The in-house developer always want to talk about FileMaker, something about FileMaker. Hey, look at this. I created this real cool script and a real cool layout or something, but they can't talk anything of their colleagues because they're not they don't have any interest to FileMaker. It's only him is thinking about FileMaker in their company. So we want to provide the place to meet up the people who want to talk about FileMaker. That is really important. Yeah. So I have I don't have keynote, but I have picture of some of it. It's about baseball, not FileMaker. This is about FileMaker. This is one shot of the FileMaker Tokyo user group meetings. Now, we can recognize someone we are very much familiar with, and they keep answering in the community. He's answered at the Tokyo user group too. Like that. he showed us the kind of like media gallery or something. Yeah. And this is just an example. We are doing like a session, like 30 minutes or 1 hour. And then after that, we are doing the called lightning talks, just 5 minutes presentation. This is from lightning talks. This is not by me. Actually, by my wife. This is trying to generate SHA hash value. Before we got the function in the version 16. This is very, very interesting. So much complicated. No one understands. Yeah. Just an example. So, I think it's key is that's offline. So we don't create some result for publish for the internet or something. So we are just talking and chatting each other and show something. What I create, the look at my coolest database. That is, I think that is the key, and that's why we can hit 20 years. Yeah, thank you.
So, Koji neglected to tell you about the best part of the FM Tokyo meeting, and I was very lucky to have experienced this. So we'll see if this shows back up here. But the after party after the meeting. So this is the same meeting before I presented. I was sitting in the back, and I took a picture from the other side. It was a very crowded room. So I believe somebody sponsors drinks for the event. So they actually go to a 7-Eleven right by the park beforehand and buy a very large cart full of drinks for everybody and pass them out. You can see them on the desks there. But also afterwards, they have a fixed price party for the attendees after the meeting, because it's too small of a place or too large of a group to have presentations at a restaurant. Space is a big premium in Tokyo. But also people want to get together. So I took a few pictures at the restaurant afterwards where you can see about 40 people crowded around 2 tables at a Nabe hot pot restaurant in Shinjuku. So the rest of these are food pictures, but you all just ate lunch, right? So we got hot pot and some sashimi and and so this community experience, I did present at the conference in Japan, but also I took that opportunity to meet with the local user group. And I think that's key because I do it in a lot of my traveling around. If I'm going somewhere on vacation, I'll look and see if they have a user group and offer to present. And I've ended up presenting at a number of different groups around the country as a result of just sharing that and trying to share. So I think that's great that I had this experience. It was a wonderful time, and I'm really glad that I met a great friend with Koji. And I'll pass the microphone back because I'm done.
All right. I'd love to have John or Barry talk a little bit about FM Disk and how they're organized, just because I think they have another great model.
Hi, everyone. Jonathan Reff and Barry Isaacson here. We are representing FM Disk, so FileMaker developers in Southern California. And next March, we'll be celebrating our 20th anniversary, so we're just a little bit behind you. I checked our FileMaker database, of course, where we track our members this morning, and we have exactly 400 people in our membership database. Now that means that they've shown up for a meeting once, at least once. So we don't have 400 active members, but we typically have, 40 people when there's a new release, and especially from someone from FileMaker comes and speaks, we'll have 60, 70. Certainly when, Rosemary, you came and spoke numerous times at release events. And echoing some of the things Mike said, we have a consistent schedule. We meet the second Friday of every month in the same place, so everybody really knows, except for the month of DevCon, everyone knows where the meetings are and when the meetings are. We also have an online discussion group, which is only for people who have come to the meetings. We still have that in a Yahoo group, though one of these days we have to migrate to something a little better supported. We do have a meetup site as well that we post information about the meetings, but we don't use that as much for discussions or anything else. I would say one of the keys to the longevity of the group is spreading the load. So we have 5 advisory board members who really run the group: Barry, myself, Dave Knight, Bob Shockey, and Lynn Allen. At one point, we had elections every year, and then at some point, we just decided that autocracy worked better. So we stopped, as a board, we just stopped having elections. And when people have left, moved on, we've just asked someone else to fill that role. But we share the load. So basically, each of the board members is responsible for 2 meetings a year. And they're offset, so we have a schedule. So it makes it quite manageable. When you have only 2 meetings a year that you're responsible for organizing, we call them the person who's doing that the shepherd of the meeting. And they're responsible for arranging for the speakers. So I'm actually responsible for the September meeting. And here at DevCon, I've been asking people, we do a DevCon wrap-up, usually the meeting after DevCon, and we ask people who are here to come and share. So I've been grabbing people today and say, what was your favorite session, and would you be willing to speak about it for 5 or 10 minutes? So the shepherd is responsible for the content of the meeting. We used to have food and drink at the meetings, and the shepherd was also responsible then for tapping someone who would provide pick up the food and the drink. We would reimburse them. So one of the things we do is we ask for a donation for everybody who attends. It's not required. It used to be $10, now it's $15. And we're hosted by an organization called Brzee, which is a nonprofit organization that is for kids in the neighborhood and provides them a place to go after school. And the area we're in is part of Koreatown. There's gangs and other not so savory influences for kids. So this is a really wonderful organization, and we try to give back. They let us use the space for free, but we try to give back. So we collect from the people who attend. We ask for a donation, and we usually wind up giving Brzee $200, $300 a meeting, which we feel good about. And when we were providing the food, we would take the money out of our collections and reimburse the person who picked up the food. We wound up phasing out the food, mostly because we ran out of people willing to do the work of picking it up. So sometimes people bring food, but mostly these days we don't have it. But for the most part, the group is pretty self-sustaining. With sharing the load of running it, it's not too much of an effort for the people who run it. And I think some people have been coming for 20 years, and it's become a really important community and part of their lives. So anything else I should add, Barry? Question, yeah. Right, so that's something we've debated over the years. So we are a Friday morning from 10 to 1. And so that does make it harder for people who are in-house developers if their employer does not allow them to take time off during the day. We toyed with the idea of evening meetings. It would make it easier, and then that cuts into family time and other things. So we've always been a daytime meeting on Fridays. We've considered other options over the years, but we've stuck with that time.
Ours is 6 to 8 p.m. on Thursday, and most of the reason for that is because since I'm the one running the group, I can't get away from work during the day for 2 hours. It's just a fact. But also, most of the people that we polled when we asked them would they rather meet during the day or like immediately after work, they took the evening option. So do you want to explain when your user group meets Saturday.
We always have on Saturday afternoon. Yeah. So most of people surprised, are you they're having meeting on Saturday? But for us, it's very normal. Saturday started at Saturday 1:30 p.m. to 5:30 p.m. and then go to drink. Yeah, but the evening of weekday is not enough time for us. Yes, yeah, we need Saturday.